One minute you've got extra cash, the next minute your dog eats something questionable, or your fridge quits without warning. In real life, time freedom is not something you wait for, it is something you start building. I'm Candice, and welcome to the Money Flow Genie Podcast. So let's stop talking about it and start building. Hi everyone, and welcome to the Money Flow Genie Podcast. Today I want to talk about something. I often pull Abraham-Hicks cards around money, and they often resonate with me. And I want to create a podcast about one of them that really resonates with me. And that is, the card says, I can create both money and time to enjoy it. And when I first read that, I realized something, that most of us have been taught to believe that we have to choose money or time. And either we have time or we have money. And if we want more money, we sacrifice our evenings, our weekends, our vacations, and sometimes even our health, depending on how much you work. And then we tell ourselves, one day I'll slow down, one day I'll enjoy life, one day I'll have time. But have you ever noticed that one day keeps moving and that one day is the tomorrow that never comes? And there's another goal, another bill, another promotion, another client, another reason to postpone enjoying the life that you're working so hard to build. You got to check one more thing off that checklist. For many years, that was me. And sometimes I still struggle with that. When I was paying my child support, I knew I consistently had to earn more money every single month. And I obsessed about it. And it wasn't optional. And it wasn't about wanting a bigger house or taking fancy vacations. It was about meeting a responsibility. And it became, for me, an addiction to more. Like many people, I believe that answer was pretty simple. And just like me, work harder, build another business, earn more, trade more of my time for more of my income. And that's exactly what I did. I did build another business and it worked. But something interesting happened along the way. I started asking a different question. What if there was another way? What if the money wasn't always something I earned? What if it also something I could build? What if money could continue working after I stopped? And that question changed the direction of my life. It really did. You see, growing up, I understood money as an exchange. You worked, you got paid, you stopped working, the money stopped. And I didn't understand the banking side of money. I didn't understand ownership. I didn't understand financing. I didn't understand investing. And today I help people buy homes using owner financing because traditional banks have said no. And one of the biggest shifts in my own life has been realizing that becoming the bank creates a completely different relationship with money. Instead of asking how many hours do I need to work this month, I start asking, how can this money continue creating value after today? How can I make this dollar work twice? And these are two separate questions. They're two different perspectives. And one depends entirely on my labor, and the other one depends on something that continues to work. And now, before anyone misunderstands me, this isn't about avoiding work at all. I love working. In fact, I'm doing it right now. A podcast is work, but I love it. And I still own my landscaping business for over 3 decades now, and I love it. I enjoy what I do. But I also realize that loving your work doesn't mean that every dollar has to come directly from your physical effort forever. It doesn't. And that's where this Abraham-Hicks card really spoke to me. I can create both money and time to enjoy it. And there's nothing the same day. I don't live the same day. It doesn't say after you've made enough. It doesn't say once you retire, it says both at the same time. And that changed how I looked at abundance, and it changed how I looked at money. And real abundance is creating a life where your money supports your freedom instead of competing with it. Money, for a certain amount of time, was competing, and I was giving it a life force that it really doesn't have. Let me share a quick story with you how I was able to change my relationship with money where I could have it and enjoy my life at the same time. A while back, I think the book was called The 80/20 Principle. And when I read that, it basically is saying we're kind of perfectionists as humans, and well, some of us are, and I'm one of those. And so I would give it all my effort, but I'm not perfect. I'm human. So that effort, I would never be satisfied. So what if I did 80% of effort? And how would that look? And then that 20% of that extra time I would be putting in, I would have for something else. Well, at first, that didn't make sense to me. That was like, oh, you're telling me to compromise how I do something. And I'm not willing to do that. I need to be proud of what I walk away from. That's just who I am. But then I started to look at it and I asked myself a different question. What does that really mean? And as I started to really evaluate that for myself, I started to see that I was getting up, running out, and I was doing all this work for other people. Yes, to be paid. But at a certain point, this was years ago, one year I lived by the beach. And I asked myself, did I go to the beach this year? And I hadn't. I live by the beach for a reason because I love going to the beach, but I was so busy trying to chase the dollar and chase the next checklist to get it checked off. I got wrapped up in just work, work, work. And I realized maybe there's something to this 80/20 principle. And what does that look like? Because owning a business is very different. So I decided where maybe it's talking about how efficient can I be and when am I the most efficient? So I'm not the most efficient after I've done a long day of landscaping to come home and start doing paperwork where I have to focus 100%. Oh no, that's where I make my most mistakes. So I found that my administrative time for my business was the most productive in the morning before I start my day. And that doesn't mean now I have to get up at 5 in the morning and do change my routine around. No, I change around the time that I started to work. And the reason for that was my brain was on, and that is when I do my most difficult focusing task. Because the landscaping part, I've been doing it for so long, I can do that in my sleep, so to speak. Not literally, but you know what I'm saying. And so I found that when I unplug and I do my morning walk on the beach with my dogs, I get inspired. I come home, I do my administrative work, and it gets done. And lo and behold, looky there. I have plenty of energy to do the physical labor part. And then I come home, I'm inspired to do other creative activities. And it all gets done. But here's the kicker, I'm not doing the same amount of physical labor at the same time that of what I was doing in the past. I know that sounds crazy, but I'm getting more done because I'm not preoccupied with what I haven't gotten done. So I'm present in the moment. And I've talked about this a little bit on other podcasts about being more present in the moment. And for me, that made a huge outcome in how productive my business is. And my way of how my brain operates. Now, this is a little hard if you work for someone else, but there might be ways that you could do this either in your personal life or have a boss where you can say, hey, this is how I work best doing this type of project during the day, and then this later in the day, and switching things around. And you would be amazed at how much more productive you are. So, all of that, what does that have to do with being coming in to something differently with time and money? It's because I'm able to enjoy my time, be present, feel really good about being productive. At the same time, I am making money. And all I did was flip things around, and it allowed me to be more productive so I can enjoy my time and make more money because I'm more productive. Even though it's less time, I'm making more money because I'm more productive. I can take on different jobs. I can do different businesses at the same time because I'm more productive, paying attention to what it is and how my body and my mind works. And with all of that, the beautiful thing that over the years is that it brought that joy was at the end of the journey of that discovery, and not just joy being it. It wasn't the destination. It is a daily occurrence. And that's exactly what it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be a part of every single moment of our lives, not just the vacation time or when you get off. Joy is in the journey. And when I discovered that I could just flip my day around, then my work attitude is like, oh, I gotta go to work, gotta go, gotta go. No, I knew exactly what I was going to do. I'm so much more focused. And I found out that my life is the destination. Life is happening while I'm actually going to work. My whole perspective has changed. Not working a factory job because I don't work in a factory, but I was living one because everyone else is living one. I'm giving myself permission to do something slightly different. And what ended up happening? I have more time. I have more freedom. I have the choice of creating money at the same time of enjoying the journey. And that's why I wanted to share with you, because sometimes we just get in a rut that we have to do everything in the same way that everyone does. And it's not the case. And when we do the slight pivot, I'm telling you, it's just a slight pivot. I was astonished that I have the freedom now. I get up in the mornings, my mornings, I feel like I don't work because I just am so relaxed. I'm enjoying my coffee. I'm going on the beach with the dogs. I'm enjoying, as I'm doing my paperwork, some memory of, sometimes a dolphin will jump out of the water. Those little things will click in my head while I'm doing something. I have these beautiful memories where I'm doing this boring, mundane paperwork. But that's when my brain is the most productive. And so I'm going to leave you today with, if you're building your life to allow your money and your time to grow together, are they competing with one another? Or are you in control of making the decisions and seeing, can they become partners? And how can you do that? How can you be the most productive and have the most freedom at the same time? And it simply could be by determining when are you the most productive, reorganizing your tasks, and then therefore you actually have more time to incorporate within your day the things that bring you joy, like me going to the beach. And then you have joy every single day of your life because you've made time for you. And without you, then life would not be as good as it is. And remember that you have self-worth. You're not here to be a machine. You're here to enjoy life. And don't do what I did, which was get confused about the power of money. It's simply a tool. Time is a gift, and we only have a certain amount. And when you put the two together, you can find that there's abundance in learning to create both, and they can be done at the same time, just simply by panning out and looking at how you operate in the world. So I hope this podcast will help you find the difference between the grind and putting your life in a way that the joy is in every day of each journey. Thank you so much for listening, and I hope this podcast was helpful. Share it with someone else if you think it will help them. And remember, you are your own genie in the bottle. And so do something today that your future self will thank you for.
The info in this podcast is straight from our personal experiences. You alone possess the power to manifest your desires. You are the genie in the bottle, awaiting your command. So ask smart questions. We're not licensed financial pros, so be sure to consult with a licensed professional, attorney, or tax consultant.